Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi, Maseches Zevachim Daf Mem Dalet. We are holding 10, 11 lines from the top at the two dots. Back to our favorite topic, Pigel. So although in the Torah, when the Torah presents the halacha of Pigel, the Torah uses the Karban Shlamim as a prototype for Pigel. Nevertheless, the Mishnah tells us, and we're going to see more extensively in the Gemara, Pigel can apply to pretty much all Karbanis, provided they are comprised of this dual component system, a matir and a nitter. So for instance, by an animal carbon, we have the matir as per the dam, the blood, through which it's processing. The rest of the carbon becomes permitted, hutar, mutar, nitar, permitted for further consumption, further processing, consumed by man or mizbeach. So just like shlamim has that dual component, and therefore it can have pigel, any carbon that has that element, that dual element to it, likewise, is open to the pigel process. Kol sheyesh le matirin, bein le'adam, bein le'mizbeach. Any carbon which has matirin. So for instance, the blood which is matir, which permits, which unlocks, which enables some material to be fed to the adam or to the mizbeach, such as the basar to the adam, the emurin, the fast to the mizbeach. So the pigel that occurs during the avodah of the dam will now jump over to the material on the receiving end, the niter. Right? So now the basar, the emurim will become pigel, and if one eats them, there's a karas liability. There's a chiv of pigel. Who's to say? Maybe it's limited to shlamim. After all, that's the example that the Torah cites. So perhaps it's limited to shlamim only, and no other carbon will be open to pigel. No, perhaps maybe shlamim. So maybe the Torah only will include, shlamim or something which is very similar to a shlamim regarding the time frame for eating the carbon. So only a carbon which fits that bill, which compares to the time frame of shlamim, which is 2 nights and a day, the day of the akrava, the following day and the night in between. Only a carbon that has that time frame, perhaps, is open to pigel, but not any other carbon. Maybe elokayetze b'shlamim. Now, why would we even stretch it past the shlamim? Why would even allow others that are comparable to shlamim to be included? Rashi brings based on the Gemara later, because really we have a formula that will apply here. It's called klal pratu klal. The Torah says, "V'ima ochel ye'ochel," it will be eaten, which is a general term covering a broader scope than just a shlamim. We have a klal, we have the prat, a specific reference to a shlamim. So that results in a klal pratu klal, which typically allows us to include others as well. So on the one hand, we're not just covering everything, otherwise why would the Torah bother specifying specifics, like citing the shlamim as an example. On the other hand, we're not limiting to shlamim only because of these general references of achal ya'achal, referring to other karbanos as well. Rather, we include something which is similar, others which are comparable, fully comparable to a shlamim. So perhaps only those who have the same time frame as a shlamim will be open to pigel. Just like a shlamim yichadim. What's specific about a shlamim? Nechalan lishne yamim v'layla echad. You have 2 days and a night to eat it. Avko, likewise, any carbon that has a similar time frame, nechal, which is eaten lishne yamim v'layla echad, perhaps only that has pigel. How about nechal yamim v'layla b'nai? What about a carbon which has a shorter time frame, a day and a night? Talmud Bavli, we have a pasuk. We have a word in this pasuk which adds that as well. The pasuk reads, Why mibsar? Why zevach? These are extra words to tell us kol shesh yorav necholim, any carbon whose leftovers are consumed. So after you are makrav the matir, whether it's the blood by the animal carbon, whether it's the kaimetz by the mincha, we have leftovers that are consumed by man or mizbeach, will be open to pigul. So what about an oila, carbon oil, which is fully consumed on mizbeach? She'ein shir nechal, nobody's eating the shirayim. Right? It's all straight on the mizbeach. There's no, primary and leftovers. Menayin, how do we know that too is open to pigul Talmud Lemar? We have the word in the pasuk zevach, which covers an oila as well. Menayin larabis ha'oifes v'menoches. Okay, till now we spoke about animal karbanos. What about bird karbanos? What about menoches? So we go down the list. Achani marbe, perhaps until I'll include even the luk shemen shel metzora, that amount of the container of oil that a metzora will bring together with his karbanos. Some of it is sprayed towards the parecha, some of it is placed on his hand, on his thumb, on his toe, on his ear, on his head, and the rest is consumed by kehanim. How do we know that pigul can apply to that too? Talmud Lemar, asher hei magdishim li. This is actually a pasuk regarding forbidding eating karbanos when a person is tummy. It says, don't get near the karbanos asher hei magdishim li, which they are magdish for me, and it covers all karbanos that are magdishim li. So that's the starting point. So how do we extend that to pigul? By a double connection. First of all, asi noisar. First, we're going to learn the halacha of noisar, that it applies to all karbanos as well, based on the halacha of tumah, which applies to all karbanos by way of a gzera shava, using the words chilul. It says chilul by noisar, it says chilul by tumah. So we made that connection, chilul mituma. So now we know that all karbanos are open to noisar. So if they're left beyond their their time frame, they become noisar. Next connection is over to pigul. So once we've established that noisar and tumah apply to all karbanos, likewise pigul. How? By way of another gzera shava, v'asi pigul, and pigul will learn by way of a connection using the words avain. It says avain over here, it says avain over there, mi noisar from noisar. And now we know that just as tumah applies to all karbanos, likewise noisar, and likewise pigul. Ask the Gemara. Okay, so once you've covered everything, why does the Torah bother even mentioning the shlamim and singling him out? If in any case, we're going to broaden the scope and cover all karbanos. What's going to eventually going to include everything? Lama namar shlamim. So why does the Torah? Why now does the Torah say the word shlamim? To tell you, there needs to be some similarity to shlamim as well. You have to feature. The carbon has to contain the criteria found by the shlamim. We're going to tell you. Ma shlamim miyuchadim. What's unique about a shlamim? It has that dual component process to it. It has the mater nitter arrangement, as we explained, and that's what enables the pigul. Sheish le matirin. A shlamim has matirin. By processing the blood, you are now enabling, you're unlocking, you're permitting some part of that animal to be mizbeach, the emurim, some part for human consumption, the flesh. Bein l'adam, bein l'mizbeach, whether to the adam or the mizbeach. Avkol, likewise, any carbon that has that dual element to it, a mater and nitter arrangement, kol she'esh le'matirin bein l'adam bein l'mizbeach, whether for man or for mizbeach, chayav and l'mishim pigul will apply. And now we go back down the list and demonstrate how, in fact, this concept applies to all those karbanos. Somewhere in the process there is a mater and a nitter. For instance, in the oila. Ha'oila, although it's completely on the mizbeach, but there is a mater and a nitter. You know how? Dama, its blood, is mater as basar l'mizbeach. And processing the dam, you are being mater the basar to the mizbeach and the hide to the kayanim. What about an oila sa'if? A bird oila, likewise. Dama mater es b'sar l'mizbeach. The blood is mater the flesh for the mizbeach. Chata sa'if as well. Dama mater es b'sar l'kayanim. The blood allows the basar for the kayanim. What about the internal karbonos chatos? The ones whose blood is placed internally on the mizbeach ha'pnimi, and whose emurim are burnt on the mizbeach ha'chitzai. There too, param and estrafim. We see on estrafim those cows and goats that are burnt, because the flesh is burnt outside the mikdash, but there's something brought inside as well, damam, right? Their dam is matter as a morain likariv. Is enabling their imurim to be brought in the mizbech hachitzin. So all these fit the bill, but we have an exception. We have many exceptions. Moitzani is hakaimitz. The kaimitz itself, he is a matter. He's on the giving end of the process. When he's put on the mizbech, he permits, he allows the shiraim for consumption, but he himself is on the giving end. He's not on the receiving end of this equation. So he's a matter, and therefore he will not be open to pigul himself. The spices that come off the mincha and put on the mizbech. Vakteres, the incense, burnt on the mizbech apnimi. It's a one-step process. There's no matir and nitter. All these menachas which are totally offered on the mizbech without any leftovers. V'hadam, last but not least, the blood itself, which is a matir, rather than being affected by others. So therefore, he will not have pigul upon him. According to Tanakama, pigul applies to all karbanis, provided they fit the bill. They have a matir nitter arrangement. And it covers even internal karbanis. Rav Shimon Omer, no internal karbanis are susceptible to pigul, because shlomim is the catalyst, shlomim is the the precedent, the prototype, and shlomim in itself is an external karban. So only those will have pigul. Shimon Omer ma shlomim miyuchadim. Just like shlomim is miyuchadim, they're unique in the sense that it's an external karban. Its blood is offered on the external mizbeach, and therefore there's a chiv of pigul. Afkol, likewise, any carbon, only external karbanis will have pigul. Which are applied to the external mizbech, pigul is open to pigul, as opposed to the internal karbanis, yatzuparim and srafim, all those will not have pigul. Since they don't relate to the external mizbech like the shlamim, ein chayovin alav mishum pigul is no pigul. Amar, let's go back to the beginning of the brisa, where it was suggested that perhaps pigul is not such a broad phenomenon. It applies only to shlamim and those comparable to shlamim in terms of their time frame, consumption time frame, 2 days and a night. So we'll compare only those karbanis. For instance, Amar, let's go back and review. So you're going to compare and equate only those that are comparable. For instance, give me an example. B'char, firstborn kosher animal, which is a karban, which also has this 2-day time frame. The nechal, which is consumed within 2 days and a night. So perhaps only he is comparable to the shlamim. But now, what method will you use to compare to the shlamim? How are you going to derive the b'char from the shlamim? Is it by way of comparison? Well, you can refute that comparison. You can ask like this. Maybe shlamim is different and has higher standards than a b'char. You can't compare. You have to lean on the shlamim. You have to bring the nesachim. You have to wave these specific parts, but the b'char doesn't have those. How can you compare? Rather, it's based on the formula called a klal prat klal. Because the pasuk reads like this: it will be eaten. Which one will be? Anything will be eaten. Any carbon. Ya'achel will be eaten. Again, a general term, not specific to shlamim. And then later we have the words besar zevach shlamav, singling out a specific carbon. So you have a klal, you have a prat and a klal, which allows us to include others as well, even those that aren't exactly a carbon copy of the shlamim, as long as they're somewhat similar. Asks the Gemara, but this is not your classic klal prat klal, which typically has a general followed by a specific, followed by a general. Here it's two general terms next to each other, and then comes the specific. How could you turn this into klal prat klal? Hanitre klal. These are general terms, the smicha dadinin, which are situated right next to each other. Amarava, it works as well. Because Amarava in Eretz Yisrael, they say this too can be considered a klal prat klal. When you find two general terms in close proximity, hatel prat benim, take the prat which is stated afterwards. Because otherwise, what's the purpose of this, this type of reference? Bring it in here, import it, insert it between these two general terms, and you get yourself a klal prat klal. V'doinam, and learn it b'klal prat, in which case we allow you to include others as well. So I would only include a bechor, because it's very similar to the shlamim. If not for the extra, words in the pasuk, besar and zavach, as we learned before, which in fact allows us to include everything that has matirin. All the way down the list, achani marbe, lug shemen shel matzera, even the lug shemen shel matzera, which is in a way accessory to a carbon. It's not the actual carbon asham, it comes together with the asham. But if the asham became pickled by way of the distorted, blood application with a machshava pigel, the lug shemen as well becomes pigel, despite the fact we're meant to know that lug shemen can come separate from the carbon. You can bring it a week later if you choose to do so. But in this case, that he brought it together with the carbon, it's one package, it's one experience, it's one offering. The carbon is pigel, the oil is pigel. How many Rab Meir here? Now, we may recall that in the Mishnah we had a machlekes regarding this very exact situation. Accessories, carbon accessories, such as lug shemen shel matzera, such as minchas nesachim, which can come with the carbon, can come separate from the carbon. You can bring it a week later. In both, Rab Meir says, look, if you happen to bring it with the carbon, then it is affected by the status of the carbon. If it's pigel, then this is pigel as well. Chacham disagreed because theoretically they can be brought separately, they're unrelated to each other. It's a separate offering. Even if the carbon is pigel, such as the asham in this case, the lug shemen will not become pigel. So within this brisa, we seem to have a contradiction. Initially, the brisa says, lug shemen shel matzera is swapped along with the asham. If the asham is pigel, the lug shemen is pigel as well. Later on, the brisa will tell us minchas nesachim, which is another example of an accessory. The oil, the mincha that comes with the carbon, you can bring it with, you can bring it separate. You can bring it a week later. And the brisa says, in fact, it's not going to become pigel. So which opinion are we adopting here? According to Rab Meir, all accessories are impacted by the carbon, whether it's lug shemen, whether it's minchas nesachim. According to Rabbanan, both are not impacted by the carbon. And here we have one and one. Lug shemen is in, minchas nesachim is out. How do we reconcile this brisa? Hamani Rab Meir. Initially, the initial connotation of the brisa is that lug shemen is included in the carbon. That's like Rab Meir, the Sani, lug shemen shel matzera. Chayav and Mishim Pigel, the Rab Meir holds. Lug shemen, which is an accessory to the asham, gets impacted by the asham's pigel. Amos safe, and let's move on to the next part of the brisa where we see otherwise regarding the other type of accessory. I'm going to exclude, I'm going to pull out the minchas nesachim, v'adam and blood. V'asan rabban, that follows the shitas rabbanon. An accessory is not one package with the carbon, the sanya, as we find in the brisa. Ne'eschei behema, the nesachim of a behema, which were brought with the behema, chayav and alei mishum pigel. Pigel applies to it as well. Why? Because currently it's being offered as one package with the carbon, and if the dam of the carbon made pigel on the carbon, that status extends to the nesachim as well. Because the blood of the carbon is mater the nesachim for hakrava, so they too are considered on the receiving end of the blood and impacted by the status of the carbon, the Rab Meir. Chacham disagree. Theoretically, a person can bring his animal carbon today and wait on the nesachim for a week or 10 days. He can bring it 10 days later. So it's not one entity with the carbon and unaffected by the status of the carbon. Armalan Rab Meir responds, in a way I agree with you. If it's brought separately, fine. But here he's bringing it together as one. You can't separate them now. Armalan Afanigli Yamarti. When I said that the nesachim are considered one, I only meant Ela Bebainam Azevach. They happen to come together with the carbon. Okay, in any case, clearly, it's Rab Meir who says, Loik Shemen Shel Matzera can become pigel with the carbon. It's Rab Meir who says Minchas Nesachim becomes pigel with the carbon. Rabbanan disagree on both accounts. And now Brisa will be considered Lug Shemen in and Minchas Nesachim out. Amar Rabbi Yosef, Hamani Rabbi, our Brisa says, was authored by Rabbi, who, regarding Minchas Nesachim, adopted the Rabbanan's Shita. It's a separate entity, unaffected by the carbon. However, regarding the luk shemen shel matzera, he held differently. He held that granted, the pigul status upon the asham will not affect the luk shemen. So how do you have pigul on the luk shemen? Listen to this. Within the luk shemen itself, you can have a built-in, self-generated pigul process, right? Because the luk shemen was first sprayed, right? 7 times, they took the oil 7 times towards the pareches. That is considered the hakrava, the offering of that luk shemen, which now permits the rest for consumption. So within the luk shemen itself, you have a complete matir-nitur arrangement. That explains why there's pigul. Unrelated to the carbon. No, that's not why he's becoming pigul. He's becoming pigul if during the hazois of that oil, he had a machshava, an incorrect machshava of pigul. That's what the brisa means when it says luk shemen can become pigul. Hamanei Rebbe Yudam, who says luk shemen shel matzera matnois of shorali. You know what enables the luk shemen for consumption? You know what permits the shiraim of the oil for consumption? Not the blood of the yashim, the matanis, the applications of the oil itself. Umid the matnois of shorali. Let's assume if the matanis, the oil applications, are the ones that permit the rest of the oil, they become the matter of the oil. Matnois of mishfagule. Likewise, the matanis, the thought process which is occurring during those matanis of the oil, that will generate pigul on the leftovers. The sani, as we find in a brisa, that in fact Rebbe holds, the matter of the oil is not the blood of the asham, it's the matanis of the oil itself. The sani luk shemen shel matzera me'alan boy ad shizur kadam. So if one is going to misuse the luk shemen shel matzera, he has committed me'ilah, must bring a carbon me'ilah, and this status is active until there's rika of the blood of the asham. Once that happens, once they process the blood of the asham, process is over. Although you shouldn't be diverting the oil for personal use until they finish the entire process. They apply it to the mitzvah on his thumb, etc. But minat Torah, there's no me'ilah applicable. Why? Rashi explains, because according to this opinion, the Chacham's, not Rebbe's opinion, this is the Chacham's opinion, that the matter of the oil is the dam ha'asham. And once that occurs, once that's processed, the matter has been addressed and processed, the me'ilah status falls off. Rebbe disagrees. He says, no, the blood of the asham is not matter the oil. Oil is a separate entity. It needs its own internal matter. The oil applications themselves are the matter. So until that happens, there's me'ilah. It's considered an unprocessed carbon. Rabbi Omer me'alam achitamat noisa. Me'ilah stays active until you apply the oil applications. And once you do that, the process has been completed and the leftovers are permitted for the kehanim. So we're going to assume that according to Shitas Rebbe, since the oil applications are the matirim, they are the mefagilin as well. They make pigul on the oil. But the brisa continues. We conclude with Shav and all agree, she'asar ba'achila. You shouldn't be eating the oil anyways, until they complete all the applications, the 7 spritches and the application on the mitzvah's thumb and all that. Midrabban, you shouldn't be touching the oil until that point. Okay, so that was a race of starets. Pigul by the oil, it's a self-made pigul. In accordance with Shitas Rebbe, just like the applications on matter, they are mefagel. Amru Rabbanon kamid Rabbi Yirmiyah. So the Chachamim presented this solution to Rabbi Yirmiyah. Omar, he responded with surprise. Gavru Rabbak Rabbi Yosef, such a great man like Rabbi Yosef. Could he have said such a thing? Leimo ki hamilsa? How can you say that the oil applications, which are the matirim, they are the mefaglim? It's incorrect. I'll prove it to you. Picture this. A mitzvah decided to bring his luk shemen a week later, 10 days later, which is legal. In that case, little kuli alma, matnois of sharli. In this case, all agree. What's going to permit the leftover oil for consumption? The matones. There's no blood anymore. There's no asham. It's gone. And still, despite the fact that it has a built-in matter, that built-in matter doesn't have the power to make pigul. Rashi explains, you know what? Pigul could only be activated and generated by blood, by a kaimes. There's no concept of oil applications to making pigul, period. Unlike Rav Yosef's suggestion, the sanyas we find in a brisa. Look, shemesh matzara. Chayav and olav mishum pigul. How could you have pigul on the luk shemen? Because of the blood of the carbon, which is enabling, which is permitting the oil to be processed and etc. It's Rameir Shita. Right, so Rameir considers the luk shemen as part of the carbon entity, and hence can become pigul through the carbon. Amalei Rameir, the Rabbanan responds to Rameir, no, it's just an accessory. It's not part and parcel of the carbon. It's unaffected by the status of the asham. In fact, if one chooses, he can bring it 10 days later. One can bring his asham today, and his look 10 days later. Apparently it's a separate entity. Rameir responds, you're right in that case, but I'm not talking about that case. I only presented my opinion in a case when it is with the asham, el banim asham. Okay, but bottom line is, apparently all agree that even Rameir agrees that the pigul concept to luk shemen is only limited when in fact he comes together with the carbon, because the blood of the asham can generate pigul upon him as well, but not if he comes separate. The matanas of the oil itself, although they're going to be matzah oil, but they don't have a power of making pigul. So that suggestion will not really work. So now back to the question. We seem to have a contradiction, an inconsistency in the brisa. Initially, we learned that luk shemesh matzera can become pigul, which is like a Rameir Shita. Now we say the minchas and sachem are out. Why? Elam Rabbi Yirmiyah, lo Elam Rameir. You're right, the brisa goes like Rameir. V'samim mekan sachem, we'll just delete nesachem. That's it. Because that halach is incorrect. Amar Abaye, no, don't delete anything. Lo Elam lo tismi, don't delete. Let me explain to you what the brisa had in mind. It depends whether accessories such as luk shemen or the nesachim are coming together as one package at the same time with the carbon. Then, according to Rameir, they become pigul with the carbon. That's one part of the brisa. Part B of the brisa was speaking when they came separately a week later. Separate accessories are unaffected by the carbon. Very simple. Vitana and the Tana and the brisa first presented Vitana, he first presented luk habayma asham, the luk that comes together with the asham, as one package. And the same would apply to the nesachim with the carbon. He mentioned one example. It applies to both. Together with the carbon is one with the carbon and becomes pigul with the carbon. But and then later on in the brisa, it was a different case. Nesachim habayim ifnei atzma. He mentioned nesachim, but where they came separately. And the same thing would be to a lug who came separately. So we're talking about two different cases. The brisa says Rameir, accessories are part and parcel of the carbon, provided they came together, whether it's the luk shemen or the nesach, as opposed to where they came separately. They're free of pigul. Okay, so in summary, although shlamim is cited in the Torah as the prototype for pigul, nevertheless we broaden it to other karbanos as well, whether animal karbanos, bird karbanos, menachos, provided they feature a matir nitter arrangement. What about carbon accessories like the luk shemen or nesachim? It depends. If they came at a different time, certainly they cannot become pigul. If they come together with the carbon, we have Rameir says pigul, Chacham say no. Now the brisa explained for us that chatas ha'oif, is open to pickle because dama mater spesar l'kehanim, because the blood applications permits the flesh of the bird to the kehanim. Well, it says the Gemara, how do we even know that the bird goes to the kehanim? Minan amili Tani Levi. So Levi actually is going to zero in on the psukim in Pasha Shalach. Sorry, I say actually in Pasha's Korach. Rashi says this was after the Machlekas of Korach, when they challenged, Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen's, kahuna. So after it was settled, Hashem expressed his wish. Aaron HaKohen, in fact, be the Kohen. Hashem wanted to reinforce his position, strengthen his hand. Rashi says it's like a mashal. It's actually, I think, a medrash. This fellow was plowing with his cow, and it fell into a ditch, broke his foot. Oy! Look what happened. He goes down to dig out the cow, and he finds a treasure, hidden treasure. Nishbar regal parasai. So something which sometimes appears initially like something tragic, Hashem has always has goodness embedded within it. Likewise over here by Korach, who is ma'arer al kahuna, he challenged the kahuna, the status of Aaron HaKohen, which is certainly a negative thing. Question his status, question his position. So after it was settled, Hashem went and reinforced it, made it even stronger, and presented a full list of Chalaf Dalad Matonis Kahuna. 24 various gifts that are given to Kohanim, Truma, Maser. So, like basically Rashi is saying, it turned out to his benefit, because not only didn't he get weaker, it strengthened the position of the Kohanim as leaders, undisputed leaders of Klal Yisrael, and deserving of our support. They were the leaders, they were the promoters of Torah, they were the Rabbanim, the Poskim, and it's our privilege, our zechus, to support them, so that they have the resources and ability to carry on their holy work and leading Klal Yisrael. So we know why the Torah had to present all those, the whole list, but we find some extra words. Kol karbanim. L'chol, we have extra kols. I'm going to dwell on those. Tani Levi, kol karbanim. What's the word kol? Adding, l'rabbis, l'kshem shamatzera, that the Kohanim will receive the extras, the leftovers of the l'kshem shamatzera. Perhaps I'll think it's different than a regular karban. Mina eish kas rachman. The Torah speaks about them getting things which are left over from the fire. Carbon materials which are brought on the mizbeach, they get the leftovers. But what about the oil, which none of it goes on the mizbeach? Vaylab moiser min eish, none of it is burnt on the mizbeach. Who? Kamashman. That's why the pasuk has to come and tell us kol karbanim, even the lukshem shel mitzvah. Rashi says we find that it's called karban v'hikra v'isai. V'hikra v'isai is l'gashemen. So v'hikra of karban, same thing. It's going on to lukshem kamashman. What about l'chol manchasim? They get menachos, all menachos. What are we covering? All varieties of mincha. L'rabbeis minchas oimer, minchas knois. The mincha that we bring, on first day of Pesach. We just had the spheres of oimer, right? So the oimer, which is primarily coming to unlock the new crop for consumption. So that too goes to the kohanim. Minchas knois, the carbon that a woman who's strayed, the saita will bring to verify her status. So the leftovers of those are fed to the Kohanim as well. Why would I think those are different? They're not coming for atonement. They have other functions. Lahat, I would think the pasuk says regarding karbanos that the Kohanim eat, what the Kohanim eat, there's atonement, so perhaps only something which has a atonement component goes to the Kohanim. Asher kurpa behem minchas oimer, as opposed to minchas oimer lahatir asa, which is primarily coming to permit the new crop, and likewise minchas knois, the one from the saita, levar oven ka'asi is coming to verify, to confirm her status, whether she sinned. So perhaps it's a different type. No, the point is it goes to Kohanim as well. What about l'chol chatasam? The word l'chol, the rabbit. Oh, Chatas oiv, the rabbis chatas oiv, that even the bird chatas goes to them. Why would I think it's different than any other carbon? The answer is because, in contrast to a regular carbon, which is shechted, right? Chatas oiv has no shchita. Rather, they do malika. They clip off its head using the kohen's nail, from the back. It's not even a proper shchita. So perhaps it's like a dead animal and cannot be consumed by a person. It's a nevela. Perhaps I would say nevela. He has the status of a nevela and it's forbidden for human consumption. No. The answer is, if it's kosher for a carbon, it's kosher for the kohen. What about l'chol ashamim? All types of ashams? L'rabbi is to include asham nazir, asham etzera. If a nazir became tamei, he has to bring an asham, which enables him to restart his count, to reset his count. Vasham etzera, when he concludes his purification process, he brings an asham as well, which again enables him to machshir him to eat karbanos. And these two are given to the kehanim. Why would I think these are different? They're coming to enable, rather than to be mechaper. Kamashmalan. The point is, it goes to the kohanim as well. Asks the Gemara, well, asham etzera, there's no need for a special pasuk of asham etzera. You have a clear pasuk that it goes to the kohen. Rashi brings it. It says kechatas ha'asham hu. This asham is like a regular chatas, fed to the kohanim. Why would I think it's different? Rather, you're right. There's no need for the metzera to be covered. The rabbis asham nazir, asham metzera. The brayso meant to consider the asham nazir, which is only coming to be machshir the nazir, and treat it like the asham metzera, which is given to the kohanim. The words asher yeshiva, what's that going to? Zegaz ger. If one steals money from a ger and he swears falsely, denies the claim, and then the ger dies. Now, typically, if he was a regular, member of the Klal Yisrael who has the Yerushim, so in this case, if the thief would admit to his falsification, he has to pay plus an asham, plus a fifth. But if there's a ger without kids, childless ger passes away, who are you going to give the money to? It goes to the kohanim. So it's like repayment to Hashem, who now hands it to the kohanim as his, guardians, his emissaries. The pasuk concludes, l'chahu. The money belongs to you, to the kohen. It's your personal money. It has no holiness to it. Shalcha yehi. You can use it for any purpose. Afilu, even l'kadosh b'yisei isha to mekadosh isha. It's your personal money. Okay, now one more point to analyze. The brayso we mentioned, para manesrafim, usira manesrafim. These are types of chatos karbanes, which are internal, like the par Yom Kippurim, par helam davar shal tzibur, par kain mashuach, whose blood is placed on the mizbeach in the heichel, whose emurim are burnt on the external mizbeach, whose leftover blood is poured down on the bottom of the external mizbeach, whose flesh is burnt outside the Beis Hamikdash. Can pigul apply to this carbon? According to the Tanna Kama, yes, sure. According to Reb Shimon, no, because the primary blood applications are internal, and only an external carbon has pigul like the shlam. Now we have a third shita, which is sort of a compromise shita. Sometimes pigul applies, sometimes not to these carbonas. It depends when the pigul occurred. If it occurred externally, while he was doing the avodah outside, and he planned his pigul on something which is also external, then there's pigul. But if it relates to something internal, in the heichel, that's beyond the reach of pigul, it's immune to pigul, there's no pigul in that case. Tanya, Rabbi Lezer, Omer, he quotes Mishum Reis Yaklili. It depends. Pigul b'davar nasa b'chutz. If the pigul occurred during the external process, then pigul has been accomplished. However, b'davar nasa b'fnim, on something internal, like pigul was unaccomplished. Ketza, for instance, he was standing outside of the outside of Omar, and he says, I'm now doing the shechita, which occurs outside, to apply the blood, which is internal, tomorrow. That's not pigul, like pigul. Why? Although the thought process occurred when he was outside, but since it relates to something internal, there's no pigul. Likewise, let's say he's situated in the heichel right now. He says, I'm going to apply the blood on the mizbech hapnimi, on condition to burn the fats, or pour the blood on the external mizbech tomorrow. Like pigul, there's no pigul there. Why? Because where is he now? He's inside, beyond the reach of pigul. Because although he's thinking when he's inside, but he's thinking about something external. Sorry, so even though he's thinking about something external, but since he's right now inside, there's no pickle. The only way there will be pickle is as follows. But let's say he was actually standing outside. When he says, I'm doing the shchita here, the poured leftovers here on the Mizbech HaChitzin tomorrow, or do the Hak-Torah tomorrow. Now it's pigel because shemachshava b'chutz, v'davar nasa b'chutz. Both conditions have been met. He was outside and he was thinking about something outside. Omar Rabbi Shua ben Levi. How do we know that in fact this is a precondition? Micro. The answer is we have a pasuk by the Parkoin Mashiach, which seems to be an extra pasuk, comparing him to a shlamim again. Kasher Yuram Mishar Zevach Shlamim. Now, what are we learning from Shlamim? Why is this pasuk necessary? What are we learning now from the Shlamim? Ella, rather, is to make that connection. That we require that external component to generate pickle, just like a Shlamim. Ella Makish Parkoy Mashiach. We connect this carbon to the Shar Zevach Shlamim as follows. Ma Shar Zevach Shlamim, just like by the cow of the Shlamim. All is external. That's all he has. Achihu Mashav Masav. The activity, the thought process, everything is happening outside regarding the external area, the external mizbeach. Af parkoy Mashiach, likewise parkoy Mashiach. If you want pigel, it must relate externally only. Achi machshavoisa of masav mizbeach hachitzain. The machshava has to occur when he's outside, and he must be contemplating an action which is external as well. Amar Nachman, Amar Rabba, Baravo, Amar Rab. How do we? What's the conclusion? What's the psak halacha? Halacha Rabbi Lazar, like this shita, Shama Shar B'Yasi. So now we have three shitas, and we have the final conclusion, the psak halacha. Amar Rava. What's the point of concluding with a psak halacha? It's not really relevant nowadays until Mashiach comes, right? We'll have the Beis HaMikdash, we'll bring karbanos. Why do we have to establish halachas that are related to Mashiach's times? Only Abai Sabai says, what do you mean? So don't learn the whole Maseches Zevachim. They used to call Maseches Zevachim Shchitas Kachim. Interestingly, Maseches Chulin, Rashi calls Shchitas Chulin. And Maseches Zevachim, the Gemara calls Shchitas Kachim. Another name for this Masechta. Says Abai, well, if you're going to go down that road, then don't learn the whole Masechta until Mashiach comes. Only Abai El Mi'at, if that's the case, Kol Shchitas Kachim Lisnei. Let's not learn this whole Masechta. Hilchos Mashiachu. Hilchos Mashiachu. It relates to Mashiach's times. Ella. The answer must be it's Hashem's Chachma, which is eternal. Right? In fact, just the opposite. Chavetz Chaim writes, based on the Gemara and the end of Menachos. Nowadays, we can't actually do the Oil and the Mincha. We could have it through the Torah. By learning the Torah, we actually performing the karbanos. We have the schus of the karbanos. Learn it and receive reward. Here as well regarding the psak halacha. Same thing. So what's the kash? Oh, he says, I meant to ask like this. Understand, to learn, spend time, to invest. Sure. It's eternal chachma. Whether or not it's applicable nowadays. Hashem's Torah is eternal. Right? But why bother concluding a halacha? That was bothering me. Listen, another version of the way he responded. Normally he said halacha kamina. I was concerned about the word halacha. Why are we focusing on halacha lamasa, which is not really relevant today? We can speak about the various opinions and have a discussion, but in terms of actualizing the halacha, which is not relevant, what's the point? Interestingly, the Rambam does bring halacha lamasa, in this halacha, other things, and Chavetz Chaim explains, because he says in the Rambam in Yad HaChazaka, likewise the Rambam in Pirush HaMishnayos will always conclude the halachas like him, even though it's kachim, it's not really relevant today. So he says because the Gemara Menachos Daf Kuf Yud, that's where it's Kuf Yud Amud Aleph. He says just as when we learn, we get the schus of the karbanos. Same thing regarding halacha l'maisa. It's as if we were makayim, we fulfilled the halachas in actuality, according to the correct halacha. Okay, so we discussed how far-reaching pigul is. It's not only limited to a shlamim, rather it connects to any carbon that has a mater and a niter. Regarding the internal karbanos chatas, we have three shitas: yes, no, or only regarding the external element of it. Regarding carbon accessories, as the luk shamish mitzvah or the minchas and sacham, Rabbanan say there's no pigul on those because they're separate entities. Rameir says if they come together with the carbon, they have the same status as the carbon as well. All the best to you and atzlacha, Rav.